July 30th, 2014 meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Baroff? Ms. Cayley? Dr. Quattro? Chairman Rocco?
Here.
Mr. Tucciarello?
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
Is there anyone present who has not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the June 25th, 2014 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of day. Next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk?
Referral 14-0222, calling...
Moved by Legislator Cayley, second by Legislator Brough. At this time, I'd like to allow the maker of the referral to address the committee. Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I come before you to discuss referral number 14-0222, entitled Authorizing the Creation of a Committee to Create Cost Saving in Accordance to Governor Cuomo's Tax Freeze Plan. Monroe County has some of the highest taxes in the United States. We're losing residents and businesses who seek alternatives to the high taxation. Thanks to the efforts of Governor Cuomo and the New York State Legislature, we have the ability to make people, and to give Monroe County a second chance before packing up the truck and moving away. Governor Cuomo's property tax freeze plan requires that municipalities submit a plan that would show efficiencies and shared services in government. By doing so, residents in New York State will be eligible for tax refunds. The legislation that I propose tonight would create a committee of community leaders to take a full, in-depth look at how Monroe County can save money and present those ideas to the county executive and the county legislature. This report will be the blueprint to help the county and other municipalities save money and get more use out of tax dollars. While the committee will be made up of several people from within government, including the county and the city, we're also asking representatives of our Monroe County school systems to weigh in, as well as towns and villages. Being that this committee will have the freedom to appoint people, I hope that the ideas of these towns and villages, along with business and labor, along with other community members, will be asked for input. Recently, my colleague legislator Yolovich wrote an article about how in his community of Parma and Hilton, shared services were able to save hundreds and thousands of dollars to better serve the people of these towns. We too have the ability and should take it upon ourselves to show that our focus is keeping money in the taxpayers' pockets. Governor Cuomo has given us an opportunity to return tax dollars to our constituents. We all know that Monroe County is a great place to live, work, and raise a family, but with high taxes, people are leaving. And tonight, we have a chance to give people a reason to stay. I ask that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle vote in favor of this legislation so we can get this committee working on the important issues at hand. I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to address the committee tonight, and would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Is there any discussion tonight? Legislator Tucciarello.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After reviewing the current proposal submitted by Legislator Morelli, it would be in the best interest to have this issue be consolidated into current work being done by the Council of Governments, who's taken an active role in reviewing Governor Cuomo's property tax plan freeze. If you're familiar with the Council of Governments, it contains the entities that Legislator Morelli has been talking about: schools, towns, the city, the county, and I think it's the perfect forum. The Council of Governments has been engaged in Governor Cuomo's property tax freeze plan since the governor announced this plan earlier this year. The Council of Governments was created with the intent to provide a forum for intergovernmental cooperation on issues of common concern to local governments in Monroe County, with the goal of examining opportunities for further intergovernmental cooperation actions and provide cost-effective governmental services. The council is well represented, as I said, by towns, village leaders, representatives from the city, the county, and the school boards. There are also two legislative representatives on the Council of Governments, one from the majority and the other from the minority, and actually I believe there's the pending addition of Justin Wilcox from the minority caucus. The premise of consolidation is important. It's an important process in county government. No one has to tell Monroe County how important it is. We have been a leader in consolidation for decades, whether it's how we run our model of the Department of Transportation and use town highway departments, or if it's by 911 in our cooperation with the city, our model for running the health department. There's many instances of consolidation, and we always look for more ways to consolidate and save the taxpayers money. And that is something that I think we could all agree on here. But the proper place for us to air this issue out is the place that's already got the jump start, that has all the players in it, and that is the Council of Governments. By consolidating any issue into already existing board will only help to streamline the governmental process. Therefore, I suggest referring this proposal to the Council of Governments and to be incorporated into the current work being done on Governor Cuomo's property tax plan freeze. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Mr. Chairman, not knowing that this is exactly correct, but a point of information, is Legislator Tucciarello suggesting that this referral be officially routed to the Council of Governance? I guess I'm not exactly understanding that as a official pathway or not.
Excuse me, Legislator Cayley, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to refer this to the Council of Government at some point tonight, only based on, and I wasn't very familiar with the Council of Government until today and found out that it seems to be very redundant from what Legislator Morelli has put together. Very similar, almost parallel type plans. So at the end of this meeting, that's going to be my recommendation.
Thank you, but
Mr.
I'm
Brown?
not sure that you exactly answered the question.
Oh,
Is this a legal pathway for this referral to go to the Council of Governance?
is this, are
It's
you addressing the
precedent.
administration?
Is this a precedent through the chair?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it would be, I think the proper and appropriate way to handle this would be to technically refer to the administration, with which we do on a regular basis with any number of referrals for study and input, with the recommendation that the administration take it to the Council of Governments and engage them.
Go ahead. Let me think for a minute.
Does that answer your question, Legislator Cayley?
Yes, it does. I would say that we'd be setting a precedent if we had a referral here and just moved it over to another council versus dealing with it in-house. I may have another question to ask, but I yield to my colleague at this point.
Legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say first that I'm actually very much in favor of this referral as it stands, although I must say I thank Legislator Tucciarello for his thoughtful suggestion, regardless of whether or not we should refer this or to administration, to the Council of Governments via the administration or not. It's a worthy suggestion. But I would point out to the committee that, while the Council of Government does indeed do related work, it actually does work on a number of other items not focused on tax relief. And I would be most concerned that this is a time-sensitive matter, in that if we do not find savings slash areas of consolidation in a set period of time, our citizens will in fact be, not receive the benefits of the tax, call it a rebate or a reduction. And that is a matter of concern that I fear the council government is not properly prepared to actually deal with in a timely fashion, because they must have their own agenda, their own schedule of things, and it is not something that we can reasonably expect any other body to take up on our priority list. As if someone has on a desk someplace, just because it's an emergency for us, doesn't mean it's an emergency for them. And I would point out that as Legislator Morelli did say, we do have people leaving the county. I don't think they're necessarily going to leave tomorrow regardless of the vote today, but it's something that contributes. But that being said, I do appreciate the serious response, and I do appreciate addressing this. I would point out that all of us here are very well educated. We know that we have an obligation, and I appreciate the fact that we're addressing that. I would further point out that something like this referral does not have to achieve every one of its aims to be worthwhile. Even it only achieves partial aims. It's something that is still to the good and does improve matters both for the county and for the other entities with whom we work and share space, i.e. the city, the towns, and other organizations as well. So with that said, I am still in favor of this referral as stated, and I would respectfully disagree with the suggestion we should refer this to the administration to suggest we should move it to the council government. Although if we did do that, it's better than nothing. That I would acknowledge.
Legislator Tucciarelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few things. I think what we're talking about here is consolidation. So consolidation is the suggestion to beat redundancy. Now we're asking to be redundant and actually do something that the Council of Governments, our community partner, is already doing. So it just doesn't hold water as far as I'm concerned. Also, when you were talking about timing, Council of Governments is already set up with all these partners. By the time we pass a local law and set up our own operation, I think that the Council of Governments would be well undertaking this process, which would serve the entire community very well. But I do want to, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, ask about similar studies that the COG has undertaken.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the COG has been engaged in studies on subject matters pertaining to intergovernmental cooperation and consolidation of services with Monroe County governments going back about 15 years. In 2001, they created their first report, Intermunicipal Cooperation. That report was focused on not only studying what had been done previously, but offered recommendations of areas of consolidation. In 2003, the COG, along with the City of Rochester and the RUMP Group, engaged the Center in Governmental Research and contracted with them in order to create a revised look at the same subject matter. That document, if you give me a second, was entitled Cooperate, Collaborate, Consolidate Options for Local Governments in Monroe County. And in 2007, the COG reopened its 2001 study and reviewed that and reissued it with revised updates. And in fact, in a resolution that it passed just recently, I believe that it had asked to review and also look at an update of that same study. The COG currently has a steering committee meeting scheduled in the near future that will help set the agenda for the meeting and be an opportunity for the administration to provide guidance and ask and request that this be put on the agenda.
Any further questions, Legislator Cayley?
I'm sorry. There was a bird in my ear. The last sentence that you said with regards to time of reporting, could you just say that again? Through the chair?
Your last
sentence.
Was suggesting that at the last meeting of the COG that they had asked to again look at the information provided, but essentially refresh the 2007 study, which was a refresh of the 2001 study, which is parallels and it does many of the similar things that this referral is requesting, and the administration supported and in fact asked for that resolution at the time, and it would be more than willing to emphasize that the legislature here had referred this matter to the administration, and with added emphasis would ask the COG to continue their efforts and revise that study.
Legislator Kaley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so with the introduction of the suggestion to refer this to administration and then through there to the Council of Governance, I don't like COG, but all right, I get it. Could you, through the chair, could you tell me how often they meet?
Through the chair, I believe that there are 2 annually required meetings, but I'll double check and get you what the meeting requirements are. But they do meet on an as-needed basis, and also obviously would, depending on the workload, would break into smaller working groups if necessary to handle matters that have been assigned them.
All right, thank you. And then I realize that you'd have to, through the chair, you may have to check your notes, but when was the last time that they met?
They met last, if you give me a moment here. On or about March 25th.
Okay. Thank you. And then through the chair, while I appreciate the suggestion of referring it and that you don't want to be redundant, I still feel that with this time frame that is in place with the government, with the governor's proposal, I believe that a reporting would need to be done effectively within the next year. And so I do find it a little bit problematic, which brings me to another question of their reporting process. Through the chair, is this, obviously there are a lot of people that are not familiar with the COG, and I, for one, don't know that I've ever seen a report given by them following their meetings. So then through the chair, is there a process that they utilize to report back to the individual governments that they are dealing with as to what they've been finding?
Well, the COG is in fact made up of the school superintendents, the supervisors of the individual towns, the mayor, the county executive, the representatives from the legislature here. So when they end up presenting at that meeting, which is an open meeting, that effectively is the report as it's done. And they'll follow it up with, often as they did in their March meeting, they did a press release with regards to the resolutions that were passed, and try and provide as much public accessibility to their information as possible. Much of the stuff is available if you were to go on the internet and download many of the past reports I referenced here today. I'm sorry, did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. Thank you. And I would still come back to then, and I would urge that we not just refer this to administration for then referral to the COG, as I don't believe that their meeting process, as well as they do, that their meeting process would serve us in this particular instance, even if we are saving a small amount. It behooves us to work in a more timely fashion than it seemed. I am not suggesting that the COG does not work in a timely fashion, but they are a rolling governance that studies obvious different things, and this is a bit more specific with a time frame to it. And I would suggest, or I would urge, that we not just refer it to administration for it to be referred to them, because as my colleague also pointed out, it's not necessarily going to be the first thing on their yellow pad that's going to be dealt with, and within the time frame that Monroe County and the other governments within would need to take into consideration for this to net any savings through the governor's plan. So I would urge that we not follow that pathway and that we embark on this, and I don't believe that it's just reinventing the wheel or being redundant. It's good governance. Thank you.
Any other further questions? Legislator Quattro.
Thank you very much, Chairman Rocco, and through you, or to you, rather. The reason that I support the referral to the administration and then ultimately to the COG is because, as I understand it, in hearing Legislator Morelli's remarks, we're talking about the creation of a committee that is exactly like the COG. It has representatives from school districts, it has representatives from local governments, and it also has representatives from this local body. It doesn't come to mind, or I don't know exactly who the representative is from the minority caucus, but I know that I've heard reports from the COG, the Council of Governments, in our caucus, from our representative there. So I feel well informed. And I am not familiar at all, Mr. Chairman, with the agenda that the COG has or their meeting schedule. But I am sure that this is a group of elected officials and representatives that can meet and consider such an important issue in a timely manner. I know members of the COG, besides the members that sit in this body, supervisors and school representatives and so on and so forth, and taking the time to pass a local law, then appoint a committee, and have them select leadership, and then consider this, seems absolutely in contrast to what the governor has suggested here in the consolidation efforts that we're all discussing this evening. So we already have a committee, they already have a process, they already communicate, they already have a rhythm. So I absolutely support referral of this to the through the administration to the COG. It seems absolutely ridiculous to do anything but. We have a committee as it's being suggested here. There isn't anyone in this room that's suggesting that consolidation isn't the responsible thing to do with taxpayer dollars. The question is, how can we do this most rapidly, most efficiently? And creating another level of government is absolutely the wrong way to do it. It violates the spirit of what the governor's intent is here. So this needs to go to the COG. So that's why I'm enthusiastically supporting your decision to refer this to the administration and their decision to communicate to the COG. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Legislator Quattro. I'm going to retract my statement about referring it to the Council of Government and going to refer it to the administration to them to pass over to the Council of Government for update. So it'll be referred to the administration. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Legislator Cayley?
In unfinished business, if I may, through you to the administration, I was looking for an update or progress on the breastfeeding referral.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, at this point I don't have anything to present in way of an update, but we are looking at, I think there were 4 categories that you were seeking information on. The county facilities that we either own or lease, the demand, it's trying to establish or determine what kind of demand would be available, would exist, the current policies that are in place and how those are executed. I can't remember off the top of my head what the 4th one was, but it may have been cost analysis.
All right, thank you. And then do you have, through the chair, do you have an estimated time that more information may be available?
I have been looking at it, for instance, with regards to the county facilities. The list that I was looking at turned out to be not current and accurate, so I have to go back and get a revised version of that. I would hope to be able to present it here at this committee at the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you. There being no other matters, the July 30th, 2014 meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Agenda Charter Committee is scheduled for August 20th, 2014 at 5:30 p.m.